Welcome to another episode of Knowledge is Power. It is so lovely to see you all today. Thank you so much for joining us again on this segment of webinar. There's so much knowledge that I wanted to give to our members. There's so much things that we don't know. And today's topic, it is about business, but it is also about our mental health as well. Today's topic that we're going to talk about is how to stop being a corporate captive, break free, and take control back into your life. I have seen a lot of our members talking about how hard it is to find that balance in life. So today I have an expert here, Geoff. Hi, Geoff. Thank you so much for being our guest today. Please
Hey,
tell us
Martha,
a bit
thank you.
more about you.
Well, me, look, I've been a C-suite executive for 30 plus years, stopped doing that about 12 years ago, opened my own business consultancy where I do everything from consulting to coaching. And to date, I've helped about 180 business owners and executives get on top of their lives and live a better one.
That is amazing because I've been hearing a lot of the ladies, and especially for us ladies that going over to our midlife, there's a lot of transitions happening, and there is a lot of confusion as well of should we do this, should we do that. I remember just like yesterday, someone saying that, oh, I really, really hate my job, but I got a mortgage to pay, I got all of this, and I just get so lost. So it is so good to hear from someone like you to share with us some strategy or maybe give us some more clarity of what to do best.
Yeah, look, today I'll actually go through three sets of tactics or three separate strategies which will enable people to get free from being a corporate captive without losing everything they've worked so hard for.
Oh, that is so good. I think you hit the nail on the head when you say without losing everything that they work hard for.
Very much.
That's great. All right, without further ado, I will leave the space to you. I will be on the background. So for our audience that is watching today, feel free to ask us any questions in the comment. I will try our best to put them together to Geoff at the end of the presentation. I will leave the floor to you. Thank you, Geoff.
Great. Thank you very much. Good morning, folks. Geoff Hetherington here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to stop being a corporate captive without losing it all. The great dream of people when we get to our late 30s, into our 40s, 50s, or even our 60s is that we feel trapped in our corporate jobs. And really what we want to be is feel free. We want three things, essentially. We want more time, more money, and a lot more meaning in our stress. And we also want less. We want less stress, less hours, and less suffering. So I've got three strategies I'll talk about today and a couple of things that we can do with them. I need to stress with you that today is no rainbows, no unicorns. There is usable information. You can grab this information and go away and start figuring out your way to sidestep to freedom by yourself. It's no porkies either. This is not a sales presentation, but there will be an opportunity to work with me, presented a couple of times through the presentation via QR code. So if you want to click them, they'll take you and give you all the details of how we can do that. Obviously, I hope that I impress you enough you want to work with me. But as I say, today's emphasis on giving you solid information that you can use to stop being a corporate captive. So in terms of interaction, why don't you just do something? Just let me know in the chat what's on your feet. Give me some idea. Normally we do, who are you, where you come from, all that. I find that a bit boring. So tell me what you're wearing. Me at the moment, I'm actually standing here in bare feet because I'm on a nice bit of carpet and it's quite warm where I am. There's a lot to get through today, and today is going to be a little bit like drinking from a fire hydrant. Look, if you're satisfied with your job and your life, then this masterclass isn't for you. You should maybe stay anyway because there'll be stuff you can use. The key thing to understand is society, that's the they, lied. They told us if we finished high school, maybe go to university, then get a job, build a career, maybe get a gold watch at the end of it, fall in love, get the white picket fence, get the big house, get the 2.3 kids, 3-car garage, and life will be great. The thing is, most of us, by the time we hit 40 or our our 50s, we're asking, is that all there is to life? We're not happy. Now, who am I? Look, I'm someone who's been around the block more than a few times. As I said to Mark at the beginning, I've run my own business consultancy for the last 12 years and helped over 180 business owners and businesses improve their profitability and their lifestyles. But I'm the founder of a thing called North of 40, which is aimed specifically at executives and business owners who are 40 years plus. I act as a mentor. I'm a certified advisory board chair. I'm an active governing board chair. I sit on the board of my local Bendigo bank. I've won some awards as a marketer. If you're using a NextG phone with Telstra, I did the marketing launch for that way back when. I'm a fractional CEO and COO. I help out a couple of startups in those roles. Occasionally I speak and I'm an author. Most importantly, I had 30 plus years as a C-suite executive here in Australia and in Southeast Asia across a dozen different industries. I used to lecture in business at university. Before that, I was a high school teacher. Last of all, I'm a business continuity planning expert. All of which I say isn't to tell you how wonderful I am, but just to let you know you're in good hands. Essentially what I do when I'm working with executives is I challenge career-trapped men and women in their 30s through to their 70s to become what I call midlife mavericks, and more on that later. I teach them and I show them how to ignore society's norms and how to live happier, healthier, and stronger lives. That does mean moving away from your comfort zone. Look, time's short, so let's get going. It's a real jungle out there in terms of work. If you just have a look at the job losses, some statistics I've pulled up just from the last couple of years, Amazon, the USA, got rid of 18,000 people in 2023, 9,000 in 2024, and they're talking about a further 10,000 this year. Combank got rid of 1,000 jobs last year, with another 800 on the chopping block this year. Telstra, 2,800 jobs last year, 450 in 2023, and they say there's more coming this year. Even PricewaterhouseCoopers, they got rid of 39 partners and 329 staff. Bottom line is, if you're in corporate, and unless you're at the top of the tree, and even then, it's really the jungle out there. It's not terribly safe. Everyone says the economy is tough. Well, actually, the economy is getting better. I see today that inflation is at 2.4%, the lowest since the mid-70s. I see that they're talking about another interest rate decrease. Unemployment is at an all-time low as well. So the actual economy is going well. But some of the cost of living pressures, thanks to the large supermarket chains, are getting very tough for people. Thing is, it's never a good time to lose a job or to feel at risk of losing it. The current economic circumstance with AI coming on and with businesses rationalising their people and trying to find a better way to deliver profits to shareholders, it's very, very easy to feel trapped. I mean, where do you go? If you've built a career in corporate and you've been there for some time, but you're starting to hit your head against that ceiling, you're not really getting any further, what do? Well, maybe I can help you. Let's see. How do you know if you're a corporate captive? Let's see if you recognise any of those. One of the key things that happens is we reach a certain age. It might be our late 30s, in our 40s, our 50s, maybe even our 60s. And we start asking, is this all there is? In other words, I followed the program, like I mentioned before. I went to school, I got a job, I built a career, I got married, I got a house, I got kids, and I'm supposed to have a beautiful life. But the thing is, where is my beautiful life? I feel like I'm caught in endless repetition, day after day. It's the Groundhog Day syndrome. Work can be all consuming, so I feel like I've got no time for family or friends. Even worse, I've got no time for me. I get home from work and I spend my evenings either watching Netflix or going down the rabbit hole, which is social media. I've lost my sense of identity. Work defines who I am, but who am I outside of work? Who am I really? If you're a corporate captive, that question becomes even more important. I'm usually feeling tired or stressed. I feel trapped. I feel over it. And in the corporate sense, in my business sense, amongst my workmates, I often no longer feel like I fit in. I'm starting to feel, because of my age, my 40s or my 50s, even 60s, that I'm increasingly less relevant to the business. Everyone's talking about AI and new startups and all this sort of stuff. Even if you're across that stuff, if you're of a certain age, businesses will not be thinking you're across that. They'll be looking towards the late 20s, early to mid 30s type people as the future of the business, instead of understanding and really valuing the experience you've got. You might be feeling like you're getting too comfortable, but you don't know how to get outside of the box you're in. The future feels uncertain. For a lot of us, you're waiting for that tap on the shoulder that says you're surplus to requirements, that you're being retrenched or your role no longer exists. You're either overwhelmed or you're bored out of your brain and you believe that you're meant for more than this. You can feel the walls closing in on you. You feel lonely, isolated, and not part of the crowd. You can be crushed by your day-to-day work because, quite frankly, it doesn't interest you. It feels the same old, and you're feeling it, threat, fear, you've got high anxiety. But frankly, you just feel dissatisfied all the time. George Carlin described the corporate captive trap incredibly well. He says most people work just hard enough not to get fired and get paid just enough money not to quit. And that's really what happens as a corporate captive. Our drive to grow our career, our drive to get to the top of the ladder tends to fall off when it doesn't happen. When we reach our 40s or 50s, we're getting paid too well to walk out the door, but we're not doing our best, and that drives us down as well. So how about you? Which one or ones of those things that I talked about do you recognize? Just pop them in the chat and let everyone see. Key thing here is you're not alone. Dreadful thing is most of us, when we get to our 40s or 50s in our corporate career, start thinking we're the only one feeling this way. And that's just not true. Most of us feel that way. Most of us feel that way, especially when we're starting to hit that glass ceiling that won't let us get any higher. And we see other people being promoted up above us. Thing is, most executives or business owners have a life like this. They try and build their life around their business, when really what we do for work should support and provide our desired lifestyle. Work should be the thing that enables us to live life the way we want to. Our lives should look like this, where business is built around our life. Our career is built around our life. So here's a couple of key questions. What do you want out of life? Are you clear on that? If you haven't done that, it's a really good exercise. Sit down and just think, what do I want out of life? Think about, how much money do I want? How much travel do I want? How many hours of work do I want to do? Think about what do you want out of life? And if it's not giving it to you, today's going to help you figure out a plan to start getting it. The other thing is what gives you meaning, not in the woo-woo sense, but most of us who are corporate captives get to the stage where we feel unfulfilled, we feel empty. And in fact, there's a name for that. It's dukkha. No, not this, not the spice, which is great. It's this. It's about feeling there's something missing from your life. Dukkha is actually the first noble truth of Buddhism. It's a Pali word which is usually translated as suffering. Thing is, it's got a more subtle range of meanings. A more literal translation might be life does not satisfy. Specifically, it talks about being unsatisfied or uneasy with a mundane life. It's really about thirsting for more and being dissatisfied with our current circumstances. In other words, it's about being unwilling to live a mundane life. Now, nearly everyone I speak to who is a corporate captive is suffering from dukkha. They have a gap, a void, or a space in their life, and they're feeling unfulfilled, or they just got that horrible feeling something's missing. They're thirsty for more of the things they want, and they're thirsty to get rid of the things they don't want. Here's some things. If you're feeling like there's a thing you haven't tried, an adventure you've never undertaken, an itch you've never scratched, a mind you haven't developed, a hobby you've stopped following, a business idea you've never investigated, a risk you never took, a body you haven't developed, a skill you've never truly used, or a thirst that's not slaked, a desire's not met, you've got dukkha. You've got some gaps in your life. The thing is, dukkha can sneak up on us, and it can happen at any age, any time in our life. But it's seen most often when you're reaching breaking point in your career, when you've hit career and you're not happy with it, and you're not happy with yourself. This is often called a midlife crisis, and people laugh about it, and it's become a cliche. The key thing is a midlife crisis is actually a real thing. The smart thing to do, though, is not view it as a crisis, but view it as a crossroads. When you reach your midlife, now is the chance, when you've got experience behind you, when you've got a skill set behind you, is to assess where you are and decide where you want to go. Because quite frankly, we all brought up with society's plan A. Remember, go to school, get a job, build a career, etc. If that hasn't worked for you, if you are not where you want to be in your life and in your career, then you need a plan B. The usual responses are this when people are feeling dissatisfied and they're in that midlife crisis thing, when dukkha is taking hold of them, is they either just hunker down and stay where they're doing, or they just change jobs. But really, you should think of it this way. There are three types of corporate captives. There are three types of corporates. There are what I call the cellar dwellers. They're the ones who sit in the corner with their thumb in their mouth and hope someone's going to rescue them. Life's going to change, but they have no agency to do anything about it. The second people are the ones I call the holdfasts. They're the people who just keep doing what they're doing and they hope like heck that things are going to get better, or they get tireder and tireder. And then there's the third ones, which I call the midlife mavericks. And they're the people, the executives, the business owners, who go out and deliberately start living life on their own terms. They start creating a next chapter of their life so they can live it on their own terms. It really boils down to those three things I mentioned before. It's about wanting to have more time, more money, and more meaning in our lives. Look, I'm not separate from this. My experience is quite simply the same. A bit over 12 years ago, I just resigned from my last CEO role. I got sick and tired of the board of directors wanting me to stretch the limits of what was legal with our business. And while I was looking at and considering a number of other chief executive officer roles, a good friend of mine who ran a fight gym asked me to look at his business. Now, Darren had 250 members of his gym. It was busy all the time. He had an accountant, a bookkeeper, and a business coach. But he knew me quite well, and he asked me if I would have a look at his business because he felt something was wrong. And he was right. He was 12 weeks from bankruptcy. So I took steps. I fired the accountant, the bookkeeper, and certainly the business coach. And I saved his business. And he was very happy with that. So he then introduced me to one of his clients at the gym, who was an arborist, who asked me to help him with his business. So I helped him with his business. And I got introduced to a physiotherapist, and I got introduced to a kitchen manufacturer, and so on and so forth. So suddenly I stopped looking at CEO roles and I started coaching and consulting to small to medium-sized businesses. And I loved it. And that was over 12 years ago. I've never looked back. I've never looked back. I don't miss the corporate life at all. But interestingly enough, what I did was I took the skills and experience I had and I applied them in entirely a different way. I suppose if I look back on it, I was really doing this internal like coaching and consulting in every senior role I had, but now it was out forefront. It was the thing I was mainly doing. Problem is, most corporate captives get too comfortable. They get comfortable with the money, they get comfortable with the travel, they get comfortable with the perks. They may be feeling uneasy, but they hide it from themselves, or they lie to themselves, or they hesitate to acknowledge there's anything else there. Or they feel and become trapped. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to get out of things. They just know they're not happy. And where they are probably doesn't have any long-term prospects for them. There are three strategies to become a corporate captive no more. You can stay, and there's things you can do there. You can go, and there's things you can do there. Or you can build. Three corporate captive strategies. Number one is stay. The worst thing to do is stay where you are and just settle. Play a small game, hunker down, hope you don't get noticed, accept being removed from the mainstream of what's happening in the business, and just hold on until that tap on the shoulder comes. Where you can make work work. You might decide to go back and tackle what you're doing with a fresh mindset, with fresh energy, and really get in there and try and make a difference so that people see you and they acknowledge you and your value. It's hard, but it can happen. You might decide on the intrapreneur route. An intrapreneur is someone inside a business who looks at their current role, sees it's dead ending, and they decide to create a new role, uses their experience and their skills. They create this role by identifying a need in the business that isn't being met, and then going to their senior management and selling them on the idea of creating this role. I did that several times during my 30 years experience in corporate. I created entirely new roles because the one I was in was going nowhere and there was a need in the business. This is a very valuable thing to do if you want to. Of course, you can reskill or you can upskill. Upskilling is the easiest thing if you've decided to stay, because when you upskill, you can then hopefully get put onto new teams, new projects, or as I said before, maybe you can then take those new skills and apply them to creating a new job. The other thing you can do is shift your focus to work-life integration, not work-life balance. We'll talk about that later, but work-life integration. So if you shift your focus to that, what you really do then is you use work to support your interests or your goals and your life outside, but in a conscious way. I mean, we all know that what we earn today supports our life outside, but it means consciously applying what we're earning, the money we're getting. Because remember, money just means choice. It's an enabler. Money is nothing more or less than that. Here's a story. A friend of mine is a mad guitarist. He's also an ex-client of mine. He's been playing guitar since he's 6 years old. He's just about to hit 50. At his home, he's got a soundproof room, a bit of a music studio set up. He's got a Fender Stratocaster. He's got one of the Gibson things. Now, he says that he's had lessons from Eric Clapton. I'm not sure if that's true or not. The thing is, after 40 odd years of playing guitar, he's a lousy guitarist. He's not very good, but he loves playing it. And he's also come to understand he's never going to be a rock god, and he's never, ever going to make his living playing guitar. But he loves doing it. It's a passion. It lights him up. It's all he can think about. So it's very fortunate that he's a bloody good GP. And that's what he does. He's got a skill that people will pay him for that he's better than competent with. And he goes to work and does those things because he knows it gives him the money and the resources to be able to play guitar as often as he likes. So this is what I mean by intentionally looking at work as the means of supporting the things you want to do outside of it. So that's strategy number one. What do you do if you stay? Strategy number two is, what do you do if you go? Lots of people reach the end of the tether and they quit. They walk out. They take the payout. And then 6 weeks later, wondering, what am I going to do? And I'm going to run out of money before I run out of life and all that sort of stuff. So here's a pro tip. Don't quit unless you've got a plan for something else. Other people go and they go to a new job, but in the same industry. And it feels different for a couple of months, but then it starts feeling same old, and those feelings are being trapped and maybe not quite fitting in and maybe not as relevant as you'd like to be, all start coming up again. The grass isn't always greener when you move. Sometimes it is. And if you do your research, you can often find a new role in a new business in the same industry that works well for you, but not always. The other thing you can do if you decide to go is to change your career, do something totally new. There was an earlier slide that said upskilling and reskilling. You can do the reskilling thing and look at taking that plus your experience and your existing skills and applying that in an entirely new field. Lots of people in corporate sidestep into HR, sometimes legal, or even into coaching or teaching, but they take their skill set and use it elsewhere. That's what I did. My business skill set, I've taken it and applied it in my coaching and consulting business. I had a career change, loved it. So that's the go strategy. Strategy number 3 is build. Now, side hustles are really popular. People talk about them at the moment a lot. But please understand, a side hustle is essentially driven just by money. And the just by money is important. They're normally money focused. So it's about mortgage payments, reducing cost of living. It's really an extra job, and often it's just any port in a storm, anything I can do to earn extra money. You trade time for money if you're side hustling. Sometimes it's a hobby, sometimes, you earn some money with that, but 9 times out of 10, a side hustle is literally, what the hell can I do to get a few extra dollars in? A side venture, however, is something that I advocate very strongly. A side venture exists at the intersection of your skills, your experience, and the problem you solve. All right. It's more than money because you're actually doing something that you're interested in. It maybe scratches that itch, it fills a hole, it lights you up, and it also does some good and you get some profit. It's a deliberate choice, and done properly, it'll fix dukkha. We've probably all heard of ikigai, which is the Japanese way of finding the meaning of life. There's lots of good things there, but as you see, take the orange one here. If you end up here where you've got a mission, you've got a vocation and what the world needs, but you get excited, but you're not really sure. Ikigai only works when you get all of these things working. I find it very complicated. I think it's a nice idea and it's okay as a structured guiding light, but this is a better one. What you want to do is find the intersection between the experience you've got, the skills you've got, the interests you've got, and lastly, a problem you could use those things to solve that people will pay you for. If you can do that, you've actually won, because you're interested, you're using your skills, you're using your experience, and you're doing some good. You're helping someone else, and even more importantly, you're getting paid to do it. So for me, finding that intersection to create your side venture is the most important thing. A side venture can be two things. It can be run in parallel to your day job forever because you have no intention of leaving your day job, or it can be something that you maybe enjoy so much and there's such a strong need for it that it grows to replace your day gig. Now, in my case, I wasn't currently a CEO when I started my coaching consulting business. But if I had been a CEO, I would have rapidly focused on building it up till I could replace my day gig, because I was having so much fun and, quite frankly, feeling so fulfilled, satisfied, and like I was doing some good in the world with it. The other thing you can do to build is you can buy a business. You can buy an existing business, or you can start up a new business. A side venture, in a sense, is a new business. But a new business in this term is more like a startup. But there's lots of existing businesses out there. There's a woman called Cody Sanchez who's written a book called Main Street Millionaire. She's American and she's a bit right-wing and whatnot, but her philosophy, her idea is become a millionaire by owning and running boring businesses. And she calls them Main Street businesses. So that's your laundromat, that's your parking lots, that's, maybe an accounting firm. Sorry if you're an accountant, but she does talk about them in the book. The key thing is it doesn't have to be a multi-million-dollar business. It just has to be one that's profitable, that's maybe not up to date, that you can go into, you can add better systems, you can help with automation, improve the marketing, and suddenly you've got a great business that you're interested in running. So out of those three strategies, the stay, the go, or the build, which one speaks to you? Which one interests you the most? Which one do you think you'd be most interested in doing? Because don't forget, under each of those three strategies, there's 3 or 4 tactics that you can use. Now, really, there are 2 paths that you can follow as a corporate captive. You can stay and particularly take the entrepreneur route there to try and build a better career. You can go and either do something entirely different using your skills and experience, or you can sidestep into a competitor or someone else in the same industry. Or you can start your own business. You can build a side venture from the start. If you'd like to build a side venture, I have a program. That's the blue QR code. It's a one-to-one work with me for 9 weeks, and we'll find the right side venture for you to basically help you break free from being a corporate captive. If you're interested in all 3 strategies, I have another more intense program that runs for 12 weeks, where you'll work also one-on-one with me. And we'll go through and find out what strategy, what tactic is best for you, and then help you develop it to the stage where you're able to implement it and stop being a corporate captive. So choose either one or both. I'll just take you to a simple Google document that explains everything in them, and that's as salesy as it gets. People often ask me what about overwhelm? God, I'm working during the day and I'm working here. To be perfectly honest, if you're a corporate captive, quite frankly, you're probably not that productive during the day. You're probably going through the motions a lot, or maybe you're a corporate captive because you're working at absolute capacity. The thing is, you need to think about a side venture or something else you're doing outside of work as me time. You need to view it as something that is building. You need to have a clear intention with a clear outcome. So yes, you've got to try and strike a balance between your day job and your side venture and having some rest and recovery, right? You need to put in some buffer time between jobs, transitioning. You've got to be careful of burnout. But the thing is, if you're clear on what you want to achieve and you've got the right vehicle, whether it's a new business, whether it's getting new skills, whether it's creating a job for yourself, you will not change your circumstances by just doing what you've always done. You just stay doing what you're doing in your day job currently, things will not improve for you. Here's a thing called the to don't list. I will give Martha the actual thing here, but this to don't list will help you understand what things you're doing in your business life in particular you shouldn't be doing. It'll help you identify the things you love, the things you hate, the things that only you can do currently, and the things you need to delegate or get rid of. It's a great way of helping you deal with overwhelm. So it's the elitebusinessinstitute.com/get-the-to-don't-list. Get the to-don't list. Again, I'll give the details to Martha. So what do? You've reached this point. You've looked at the 3 strategies. You're a corporate captive. You know you're suffering from dukkha. You're not happy with where you are. You want things to change. Well, first thing you should do is decide where the void lies. Is what's missing at work, or is it outside? Now, is work okay and you're enjoying it, but there's something missing outside, which means you need to find something better outside to spend your time with. You need to decide how to fill that void once you've decided where it is. What interest or adventure or hobby or what risk or what business will do it for you. In other words, you need to decide what itch needs the most attention, and we've all got them. In my case, and I advocate this very strongly, you should choose a side venture to scratch it, find a new tribe of people to get involved with, and above all, avoid the babies and bath water syndrome. As I said, too many people reach breaking point in corporate and they pull the pin and they throw the baby out the bathwater before things are right. What you want to do is find the thing that scratches your itch, that deals with your dukkha and generates enough revenue to maintain or even upgrade your lifestyle. It's not about this. Work-life balance is, quite frankly, BS, right? There's only life and where we choose to put our energies. So I talk to people about work-life integration. Sometimes our energy goes more to work, sometimes it goes more to things outside of work, but it's not about balance. Balance has this mental image of 50-50. That's not the case. It swings from side to side depending on what it needs. This matters because if you stay where you are, nothing's going to improve. Your regrets will grow. And quite frankly, life's going to suck more than it should. If you want to be a midlife maverick, which we're going to talk about shortly, then you'll do things that corporate captives won't or don't. Understand this. In life, you don't regret the things you do. You regret the things you don't do. Hugh Jackman, very nice guy, Bell reports. If you stay where you are, you're going to stay in the hamster wheel and things are just going to be same old, until you either pull the pin or you get the tap on the shoulder. And that's not good for you. There is another choice, however. You can become what I call a midlife maverick. And no, I don't mean him. And I don't mean him either. Although if you're old enough to remember the TV series, you probably qualify for it. A maverick is a person who shows independence of thought and action, especially by refusing to adhere to the policies of a group to which he or she belongs. In other words, they don't necessarily stick by the rules that society tells us is. Midlife mavericks are not the norm. They stand out and they want other things. They're not happy with the status quo. They feel uneasy and they don't like the way things feel, that they're a wrong fit. They want to write a compelling next chapter of their lives. Now, midlife mavericks decide to do something about it. Again, corporate captives don't. Midlife mavericks don't settle. They identify the box they're in and they try and figure out ways to get out of it. They literally write the next chapter of their life. This concept of next chaptering is really, really important. If you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s or even your 70s, how many years you've got left to live is entirely up to fate and how well you look after yourself physically. But we can next chapter. We don't have to stay where we are at the moment. We can write a new chapter, a compelling one. Midlife mavericks take action. They don't settle, they saddle up, right? John Lennon said it best, life's what happens to you while you're making other plans. So does that mean you shouldn't plan? Absolutely not. It means you should create plans. But if life throws a curveball at you, then you know what? You deal with it and you get on with things. Being a midlife maverick is all about taking back control, or as much control as you can, of your life, not only in terms of career, but also outside. As I said, a midlife maverick lives life on their own terms. The bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you're the pilot, and the best pilots are people who decide to become a midlife maverick. There's two things here. You can either regain control or you can settle and stay where you are. You do nothing, you're hoping for rescue. Remember, cellar dweller. If you just do the same thing, you're holding fast and you're hoping that life's going to change or something's going to get better. Or you can take action and you can look at the three strategies I talked about with the tactics underneath them, and you can use them to become a midlife maverick where applicable, so that you get back a lot more control. Simple question to ask yourself is, if you're unhappy now and you do nothing, how are you going to feel in 12 months? But in 12 months' time, if you start taking action now, the chances are you're going to feel better. To my way of thinking, the best way to becoming a midlife maverick and the best way to create your next chapter is literally to create a side venture. I honestly believe it's the best way for people to stop being a corporate captive without losing everything. All right? There are 6 main types. You can be an affiliate or an introducer. That's MLMs, direct selling. It's taking a clip for introducing people, that sort of thing. It's out there. Some people love doing it and they make a lot of money from it. You can swap your time for money. You know, you can drive an Uber. You can be part of the gig economy. There's a new thing called senior sitting, where people go on weekends and they actually go to old folks' homes and sit with other people's grandparents to give them some comfort. You can do freelancing. Again, that's more side hustle territory, but you could make a venture out of it, right? You can be a middleman. You can be a reseller. You can drop ship. You know, you can be an agent for someone as well, if that turns you on. You can be a creator. You can make stuff. You can take your hobby and make it a business. You might set up an Etsy store and sell some handcrafts you do there, or you might start teaching people guitar online. It's up to you. All right. You can be what I call an original, where you use your experience and your skills to solve a specific problem in a way that's unique to you. In other words, it scratches your itch because you're interested in doing something. You see there's a need for it and you've got the skills and experience to do it. For me, that's the best type of side venture, is where you create one that draws on your skills, your interests, your experience, and people will pay you to take some pain out of their lives. And last of all, you can buy an existing business or maybe a franchise. But just understand, if you buy a franchise, you're actually buying yourself a job. You're not buying yourself a business. There's a big difference between owning a job and owning a business. And that's too big a topic to go in today. But side ventures that we're talking about is all about you owning a business that maintains, if not upgrades, the lifestyle for you and your loved ones, while enabling you to use your skills, your interests, and your experience to solve problems for other people. So once you've decided which of the 6 you want to do, and I again say create a side venture is the best one, you need to do your research. So talk to people you know, like, and trust about your idea for setting up this business. Now go and do Amazon searches. How many books are there written on it? You know, go to Google, go to Bing, go to DuckDuckGo, and all those sorts of places. Research the idea. Type in what you're thinking about doing. The nice thing is, if it's a big market, it's proven to it. If it's a small market, it means one of two things: either no one's interested or you're an early mover. Personally, I'd rather go for a bigger market because it was proven, and all I need to do there is prove to people that I'm different and get results than everyone else. You can also check Facebook. How many Facebook groups are there? How many Instagram hashtags are there? Is the Pinterest in it? How many people on LinkedIn talked about it? You can use X, or you can even use AI to it. Bottom line is, if once you've decided on the type of side venture to do, your idea for it, you need to research it to see that it's going to actually deliver you some revenue. It's all really good. And please don't get me wrong, you can feel dukkha by going out and doing charity work. You know, again, I sit on a community bank board. I don't get paid for it. I've been there for 6 years, but we give $500,000 a year back to the local community. So that fulfills a certain need in me. So you can fix dukkha by doing charity or non-paid work. But today I'm talking about, remember, you've built a lifestyle, you've built income. We want to stop being a corporate captive without losing it all. So this is what this is about. You also got to look at your toolbox. Have you got a solid network or a growing network of people? Have you got a clear idea of what you want? Have you got a plan for your next chapter? And do you have a healthy sense of dissatisfaction? There are 11 commandments for side venture success. Look after your main gig first. You do yourself no favors if you get so excited about your side venture that you neglect your day job. You've got to keep your day job running well until such time as you're willing to either ditch it or just keep them running in parallel. You should never take on side venture debt. In other words, you should not go out and buy a $10,000 program or something or other if you don't have $10,000 to spend. You should not look at the latest bright, shiny object out there. I think that's it. I'll go and do that, right? Never take on debt until the side venture's up and running. And even then, quite frankly, your side venture should pretty much cover its costs. Don't play at it, be a pro. If you look at it like an amateur sports person, you're not going to get anywhere with it. You need to treat this like a professional. Don't spend money the customer won't see, especially initially. Your money needs to go where your potential customer is going to see it spent. It's got to go into fulfillment. It's got to go into attractive websites. It's got to go into things that position you as a credible expert who's different from other people. It's got to go into a signature system or a blueprint or a map that you can provide people to show them why you're better than other people. Only spend any money on actual efficiency, what makes it run better. I recently have started using Go Higher Level through a business growth platform called Be Connected World. And it's probably saved me $700 a month just by getting rid of some other things I was doing. Always follow a strict side venture schedule. This is important. If you go, I'll get to it, that's no good. You've got to treat it professionally. That means you have to schedule time, put it in your diary, put it in your calendar to spend time. It might be an hour a night. It might be Saturday afternoons, but you need to have regular time to spend on it to grow. You should dream big, but focus small, because after all, the devil is in the details. Concentrate on generating revenue. Nothing survives. You need to be top line focused. You've got to generate cash flow. Don't try to fly solo. Look around for help. Find people who can show you the ropes. Always default to action instead of procrastinating and thinking about it. And most importantly of all, do your side venture as me time. It's very, very important. And look, when you're ready to do your side venture, there's 4 people you should talk to. You should talk to your spouse and partner, because you're going to be probably taking some time away from them while you build the side venture. Hey, maybe they're the right person and you can ask them to join in with you, right? You probably should talk to an accountant just to make sure that all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted in terms of tax laws, etc. Talk to a solicitor, set it up. They're going to set this up as a family trust, whatever it happens to be. You need to talk to a specialist business coach or find yourself a mentor. Again, good mentors, good consultants, they compress time. They provide a shortcut and accountability to get you to where you want to go quicker. And the bonus, depending on where you work, maybe you want to talk to your boss. You might have a non-compete clause in your contract, which could be problematic for you. Although having said that, the government has just announced that they are going to make non-compete clauses illegal here in this country. Now, they're talking about hairdressers and real estate agents, but I don't know how broad it goes. But the bottom line is, if you're an executive, you've probably got a non-compete clause. You need to see whether that's going to be a problem or not. More importantly, check to see if there's actually something in your contract that says you are stopped from doing any other type of work, or you have to inform them. And then it's up to you how you play it. The most successful side venture is one that provides good revenue. It's sustainable. You like doing it. It fills that gap, fills that void, that dukkha. It gets you with a new tribe. It expands the people you deal with. And you know what? You can make it your main gig if you want to. It's really easy to get overwhelmed when you start thinking about the 3 strategies and the 15 tactics I've spoken about already. The idea of starting up a side venture. I mean, how do I How do I decide what skills I've got and my experience and what interests me? There's a lot there. So you need to think about, is a side venture for you, right? What you've got to do is think about how you would do it. And there's two ways you can bring it off. One is you can Lone Ranger it, but quite frankly, he had Tonto and Silver to help him out. Or you can work with someone who understands side ventures and business and how to set them up. Side Venture Success Program, which there was a link to earlier on, is literally 9 modules like this, 3 phases: reveal, build, and launch it. And each of the 9 modules has worksheets and 3 steps within it. Bottom line is, it's as foolproof a roadmap as I can possibly come up with if you want to do side ventures. And we go through that one to one. Of course, you might prefer the stay or go strategies, and that's fine too, because they can work with you depending where you're at. Not everyone wants to start up a side business. Not everyone wants to, my apologies for that. Not everyone wants to leave the corporate world, but the other strategies may help. The key thing is, this is for you. 3 strategies or just the side venture one is, if you're unhappy where you are at work or in life, you're just going through the motions, if you're being a bit complacent and you're settling and you're conforming, if you're feeling overstressed, overworked, underappreciated and undersatisfied, if you want to regain control of your life and your health and your happiness and have more fun and confidence and quality of life, then one of these 2 programs is the right one for you. The Side Ventures program, we work one-on-one with me for 9 weeks to find, identify, then launch your side venture, or the Corporate Captive No More program, where we work together for 12 weeks and we explore each of the strategies and tactics as it relates to you and get you to where you can implement them. To make a change, you need to take a chance. It's simple. The next steps are really like this. You need to decide on which strategy group to pursue. Do you want to stay? Do you want to go? Do you want to build? And once you've decided which group, and it might be more than one group you want to explore, then you need to choose which tactic or tactics appeal the most to you. Is it upskilling and reskilling? Is it creating your own job? Is it leaving and finding a job in the same industry? Or is it maybe going into something completely different? You need to get clear on those things if you're going to stop being a corporate captive. In other words, you have to get clear on what you want. 3 things. You need to draw a line in the sand. As human beings, we need a couple of things every day. We need a good laugh. We need a sense of accomplishment. Corporate captives suffer from dukkha because they lack that sense of accomplishment. And there's 3 things that we really want as human beings. We want more time to do what we want, when we want, with the people we want. We want more money so that we can afford to do the things we want, when we want, the people we want. Okay. And we want a lot less stress. We want more meaning in our lives. We want to feel like we've accomplished something and done something well. So if you draw a line in the sand today and go, I'm not going to stay a corporate captive, I'm going to do something different, then you need to sit down and plan how you're going to write your next chapter. As I said earlier, identify the source of your dukkha, of the gap in your life. Is it at work or is it outside of it? Once you identify where it is, decide how to fill it. Again, I advocate a side venture, but think about what it is. Is it work or is it play that I need to be doing more of? Identify the types of things that light you up. Once you've done that, then create your own map. Where I am today, where I want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you decide. I'd suggest 6 to 12 months, we'll take it is, and then start working to do it. To stop being a corporate captive without losing it all, you need to recognize the signs early of being discontented, unsatisfied, and not feeling like you're fitting, and you're feeling like you're going to get that tap on the shoulder. You need to take action to identify the dukkha in you or your life. Decide what's missing. Again, is it something at work or outside? Sometimes work's okay and it's outside that's lacking, and you need to find something to fill it there. You need to pick a strategy to follow, whether it's becoming a midlife maverick or exploring entrepreneurship. You need to decide what you will try to fill your space, that gap, that dukkha in your life. Then you should define your next chapter and what's the North Star, what's going to draw you forward out of your current circumstances. You should commit to taking action. You should use a side venture for freedom. I think that's the best way to do it. Or maybe you just implement the corporate captive no more strategies. There's a lot there for you. If you'd like a hand, book a call. It's not a sales call by any means, just a chat with someone who's been there, done that, and I can talk to you about your circumstances and maybe help you identify which strategy or tactic is best for you. If this presentation's helped you become clear and you already know what you'd like to do, either creating your own side venture or working through all three strategies and finding one to do, again, there's the QR codes. Please take a snapshot of the one that interests you. That'll take you to a Google Doc that will give you all the information you could possibly want. I would urge you to light your path forward. If you're a corporate captive and you're not happy where you are, it is time to decide on the way forward. So light your path, take the plunge, decide to play your own music. Just don't stick your head in the sand, right? Nothing will change. Don't settle or stay where you are. The worst thing is that you could be fearful of trying anything. There are ways and means of trying most of those strategies in a way that will not impact on your daily life, your day gig, your day work negatively, but they will give you a chance to fill your dukkha and maybe create something, or maybe you decide step out of your current role into something that is more money, more meaning, and more freedom. So you should get ready to fly. If you're ready to fly, book a call. Let's just have a chat. Again, not a sales call. I'll do everything I can in my power to give you the advice to steer you in the right direction. Remember this, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. Working with someone who can help you is all about compressing time. It's about being held accountable. More importantly, it's about speed and efficiency and getting you where you want to go quicker. Henry Rollins was the frontman of a punk band called Black Flag. I still listen to their music sometimes. He's also an incredible wordsmith. And this is one of my favorite things. There is no such thing as spare time. There's no such thing as free time. There's no such thing as downtime. All you've got is lifetime. I urge you to go. So it's your turn. If you've got anything else you would like to know, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. Martha will pull them together and get them to me, and I will come back to you. Again, you can use the QR codes to find out about either of the two programs. So thanks for coming along. Thanks for listening. I hope you found it worthwhile. I look forward to getting some feedback from you. And that's it. Thank you very much.